furloughed, no grants, nothing, and they've not worked since March. So Nicholas Kenyon is managing director of the Barbican Centre in London and joins me now. For people who you work with, what has the impact been and how will they greet the news that London moves after tier? Good morning to you.
Good morning, Nick. It's been devastating for the cultural industries generally, and the freelancers are, as you say, the people who have suffered most because they don't have the protection. The government has done what it can in terms of organisations. It's just announced over 1,000 grants to cultural organisations to get them through this period, but it's a really tough call. I think the important thing for us is that within the guidelines, and we're totally committed to the guidelines, we want people to feel safe coming back to our cultural venues. And over the past few weeks, the Barbican's been open. Its gallery has got a fantastic pulsating Michael Clark dance exhibition. We've had people in, and all of them have said, 98% of them have said they feel safe, very safe in the venue. So this is not a lockdown at the moment, and we want to continue to provide what we can.
I spoke to Nicola Benedetti about this, Nicholas, a week or so ago. Her greatest fear is that a tremendous generation of really talented young people will have been looking at this the last 6 or 7 months, decided up with this I cannot put, and just pursue careers elsewhere, and we'll lose such talent that we will never recover. Is that a fair estimation by Nicola?
She has done so much in terms of encouraging young people, building up young people's confidence in their talent. It would be a tragedy if that happened. We've just got to get through this and to encourage people that there is still such an importance in the cultural industries, in music, in theatre, in terms of bringing people together. That's what the arts are about, and we're totally committed to making that happen through this next period.
And absolutely a world leader in what you do. So Nicholas, thank you. So Nicholas Kenyon, your Managing Director of the Barbican Centre in London. Let's move from London and move from the UK. We will, of course, come back to your reactions, but let's go to the US. And a rather strange night, well, I should probably say that actually in the start of all of our conversation about this, but in the two men who were vying to be president had separate, effectively, Q&As on different networks in the US last night. Donald Trump was appearing on NBC. He was in Florida, talked about his approach to masks during the town hall event.
I was okay with the masks. I was good with it, but I've heard many different stories on masks. I mean, I had an instance recently where a very wonderful person is bringing me a meal, and he's playing with his mask, and he's touching his mask all over the place, and then he's bringing a plate in, and I'm saying, well, I don't know if that's so good. I mean, the good news, I didn't eat it, okay? I decided not to eat it. This was a month ago, but look, you have, from the masks, you have two stories. You have a story where they want, a story where they don't want. Dr. Fauci said, don't wear a mask, right?
Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, appearing on ABC, Joe Biden talked about how he would have handled the crisis differently.
You can contain the pandemic by being rational and not touch the economy. For example, I laid out a plan how you can open businesses. You can open businesses and schools if, in fact, you provide them the guidance that they need as well as the money to be able to do it. You make sure there's testing. That's a really critical piece that you didn't do. Testing and tracing. And you make sure that people are equipped.
Okay, let's go to Scott Lucas, who frequently helps us with matters such as he's Scottish Professor of US Politics at the University of Birmingham and editor of the politics website EA Worldview. Okay, Scott, take us through the hits, runs and errors from last night. Anybody move the dial up or down? Morning.
Morning, Nick. I think Biden may have slightly moved the dial on what is already a very rosy situation for him. If you could watch this on split screen, or if you could watch it one after the other, you have a contrast. Biden was very calm, very steady, very issue-filled, talking about how he would contain the virus. Trump was angry, defensive, put out a lot of disinformation, and at one point prompted the moderator to say, look, you're not someone's crazy uncle. And I think, Trump defenders will say, oh, that's that fake news media again. But that's just his base. I don't think he played to anyone in the middle. I think Biden may have, not only on coronavirus, but on social, racial issues, and on the economy. And let's face it, bottom line is he's the one who's up 10% of the national polls and ahead in 10 of the 13 swing states.
Scott, we know that obviously this election is being fought out with the background of COVID. Are the two men actually going to be gotten together in a studio again before you go to the polls?
It looks like it's the final presidential debate is scheduled on next Thursday, the 22nd. different Trump after he really threw away the first debate.
And what's he got to do, Scott? What does Trump, as you rightly point out, he has been trailing and he continues to trail in the polls. So what does the incumbent have to do, and what does the guy who's currently sitting pretty have to do next week?
Easy part is Joe Biden, steady as she goes. Competence, unity, handling these crises. Donald Trump has to stop being Donald Trump. He has to actually be respectful. He has to engage with the issues, and he actually has to prove that he accepts we need to deal with coronavirus. Do I think we'll get that Donald Trump? No way.
We'll talk again next week, I sense. Scott, thank you so much. Always good speaking to you. Thoroughly enjoyed. Scott Lucas, Professor of US Politics at the University of Birmingham, editor of the politics website, A World View. We'll catch up with more of your views concerning these extra restrictions, and we'll also be talking your views on unmarked police lorries spying on reckless road users, tactics now deployed by police in Sussex and Surrey. Of course, you shouldn't be breaking the laws, but what does that do for the relationship between them and us? 7:31, you're listening to Breakfast with Evening Ferrari here on NBC. News time, Polly Harris.
Leaders in Greater Manchester are continuing to fight attempts from Westminster to impose Tier 3 coronavirus restrictions. Mayor Andy Burnett says local leaders are unanimously opposed to the plan without more financial support. Lancashire is expected to be the next part of England to move into the very high alert level. Talks continue this morning. An announcement could be made later today. Police in London are stepping up patrols from the weekend to crack down on breaches of coronavirus rules. 9 million people in the capital, as well as several other areas of England, such as York and parts of Essex, face Tier 2 restrictions from midnight tonight. The weather, most areas dry with variable cloud and sunny spells, sunniest in the west. A few light showers mainly across eastern and central parts. Feeling chilly, a high of 14 Celsius.
Weekends at LBC with Andrew Castle.
Why wouldn't a national lockdown be acceptable in your view?
We've got to think of the economy, jobs, education, all of these other factors.
So when a politician says we're following the science, that's ridiculous. I don't think I hear many scientists talking enough about the balance. As soon as you follow the science, you just go, you can't just follow science, because what is it?
Andrew Castle, every Saturday and Sunday morning from 7. LBC.
The world is facing many challenges that are worsened by climate change, including conflict, the current pandemic, and financial insecurity. So thanks to Tier Fund, LBC will be spending this week hearing about the vulnerable communities already feeling the impact. The week will explore the crucial role of a humanitarian worker, and when disaster strikes, how people can work together to effectively manage the aftermath and rebuild. All this week, thanks to Tier Fund and LBC.
That is the sound of an approved used BMW that you could be driving away today. At BMW, it's incredibly easy to search, reserve, and buy online. And of course, all our cars undergo many meticulous checks by BMW technicians and have a minimum 12-month unlimited mileage BMW warranty. From your screen to your street, your perfect BMW couldn't be closer. Search approved used BMW today.
I wash my hands to protect my family.
I wear a face covering to protect my mates.
I make space to protect my colleagues. Hands.
Face.
Space.
I wash my hands to protect strangers.